So
So
yeah,
we'll highlight that. Awesome. Awesome. All right. Good morning, everyone. A good afternoon or good evening, depending on when and where you're watching this Facebook Live. This is the voice and the face of Dr. Tolu Labinto. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Living Spring Family Medical Center here in the city of Mansfield, Texas, where we help our clients live long and well because we believe the quality of life is just as important as the quantity of life. If you're watching live with us, hashtag live. And if you're watching the replay, hashtag replay. And I'm happy and thrilled to be having this conversation this early morning with Dr. Gail Miller. Doc, thank you so much for coming. I appreciate you.
oh, thank you so much for addressing this, for having me on, and for bringing this up, because it's a topic near and dear to my heart, and it's an important topic. So I appreciate it.
And
Yeah.
thank you for opening up about this. This is big. And today we'll be talking about Doc. I'm childless. Are there any tips to try thriving? Thriving. So my first question to you is this. I already mentioned your name, but if you don't mind, kindly introduce yourself again. Who are you and what do you do?
Sure. Yeah. So I am Gail Miller. I'm a physician. Um, Ironically, my specialty is maternal-fetal medicine. So
Wow.
I take care of women who have high-risk pregnancies, and that irony has not been lost on me or many other people, because I am also childless, not by choice. And I became a life coach specifically to help other women who are also childless, not by choice, because I thought I was alone in this, and I found out, through this whole process of coming to terms with this, that no,
Mm.
there's a lot of us out there. So I actually very purposefully became a life coach to help other women who are childless, not by choice.
I love what you do. And in reading your bio as well, because I Googled you, I want to highlight this phrase that really struck me. And you already talked about it. You said after you realized biological children would not be a part of your story, you went on a personal journey to grieve the loss, manage triggers, and rediscover who you were before you realized that being a mother wasn't going to be part of your life, and then reimagine your future. You're passionate about helping other women find the same healing and wholeness that you have discovered along the way. So, with your one on one coaching, you empower women to rediscover who they were before they realized that their dreams of motherhood wouldn't come true. And you help them navigate the difficult situations that trigger their pain through your coaching. I love what you do. I love that you pushed through and used the pain points to help other people. I'm very impressed by you, ma'am.
Oh,
So,
thank you.
and the ma'am is a respecting, not a okay.
No worries.
All right. That being said, you already touched upon this before, but why do you do what you do? What was the turning point for you?
So my kind of road to this place was long and winding. When I was younger and single, I had always had imagined I'd have the perfect partner by my side for this. And when I realized I was not finding the perfect partner, there's lots of imperfect ones out there. Um, I started to think about, can I do this on my own? Because of my situation, I kind of allowed some influences on me, and I gave up on the idea. And then it just became this thing where over time I was like, okay, this isn't going to happen for me. And I thought I had accepted it.
Hmm.
Fast forward later in life, I did meet the right person, but it just wasn't right for us. He had 3 kids already. I had fertility issues. It just wasn't going to work for us. And because when we got married, it was like a switch was flipped, and all that time that I thought, oh, I've accepted being childless, it was like, no, I haven't.
Okay.
And so I went through this really difficult period of just this intense sadness and anger, and not allowing myself to feel it or like acknowledge it, because those things are bad. As women, we're not supposed to feel negative, you know emotions, right? We're not supposed to be angry. And then I had this one day where I was working on my, well, I wasn't working. I say this all the time. I was shopping on my computer and I had a notification popped up and it was letting me know I had an new email. And that was of photo memories from that same day a few years before. And when I looked through them, there was one photo that really stood out to me because I looked so happy in it. And I didn't like really recognize that.
Mm.
And it dawned on me, okay, that was before I had realized I wasn't going to become a mom. And that was something that I had always, since I was a little girl, I wanted to be a mom. And that's when I was like, okay, I got to find that person again. I got to find happiness again. And it was a struggle because it was also like, oh, if I'm going to feel happy, I felt guilty about like that. Does that mean I no longer want a child? And it doesn't. And that's one of the things that we address in coaching, because that's a big issue, like overcoming that thinking, oh, if I'm saying I'm happy again, that means I don't want a child. And that's not true. And so I started this work on accepting, where I am in life, that I'm not going to have children. And it was interesting because I had a therapist, and I met with one therapist who was like, oh, I know how you feel because I had a difficult delivery. And I was like, okay, as an OB, MFM, like I know there's trauma that follows a difficult delivery. I do not intend to minimize the pain that she is now living with. But no, you don't understand because you went home with a healthy, happy baby and a grown child that's, so no, you don't understand any more than I understand her trauma from her difficult delivery. And that's when I was like, okay, I need to do something to help other women who are like me, who are, so I don't know their exact emotions, but I sure have a better understanding than someone who is comparing a difficult delivery to the loss of this dream of motherhood. So that's why I do what I do, because it's a unique pain. It's not more or less than anybody else's pain, but it is unique. And I just feel like it's so vital that someone who is also childless, not by choice, is getting help from someone else, whether it's me or anyone else, who in those shoes or really understands and has studied this.
Powerful. Powerful. And that leads to my next question. And I can imagine how tough that had to be though. But you've powered through and you remain a champion in this cause. So more power to you. And I hope that the systems in place continue to give you strength.
Thank you.
Now, so the next question is, what are common challenges unique to those who are childless? And I mean, the different way to answer this question is more maybe to heighten the sensitivity for those around.
Yeah, sure.
That's the whole idea. So what would you say to that?
So I would say the first is unfortunately shame. There shouldn't be shame, but it is very common because there are messages coming from us all over the place about motherhood being the most important job in the world. And so when you're in that situation where you can't be a mom, it leaves you wondering, like, what's wrong with me if I can't do the most important job in the world? I mean, there's constant messages from all over, like women should be moms, and so it's just leaves you with this feeling of I'm not fulfilling what I'm supposed to be fulfilling. Even for those women who choose not to have children, they don't want to have children, they can still feel that shame because of the messages all the time. The other thing that's common is feeling like we're a failure, like our bodies have failed us. For those who have gone through fertility treatments, it's, you especially feel like my body failed me. It didn't do what it's supposed to do. It didn't, and or you failed yourself in some way. And even for those who have never gone through fertility treatments, there's this sense of failure because we're not able to do, this most important job in the world. So that is really common, to feel these emotions like there's something wrong with me. And often the other messages we get are that, we didn't do enough. You didn't do enough to try, because anyone can have a baby, anyone can get
Mm,
pregnant. That's not true. So again, it just, all of these messages lead us to these feelings of less than, because we can't do this one thing that we're supposed to do, or that we want to do. Sometimes it's not just necessarily all the messages that, you're supposed to be a mom, but it's, I wanted to be a mom. So it's like, I feel like I failed myself. So those are common emotions that are felt.
okay. So for those who are watching, who are like, wow, a lot of things you're saying resonate so powerful with me, and another reminder. Um, how would you advise they thrive? How would you advise?
So the first thing is, and this may be counterintuitive, some people are like, oh, wait a minute. It's to allow your emotions, whatever they are, sadness, anger, frustration, um, because, we're, in addition to all the messages about how, women should have children, we are also inundated with messages. Just be positive, push away those negative emotions and just be positive. And that's really, can lead to anxiety, can lead to, depression, when you're not honoring. These are all human emotions. When you suppress, when you push away the uncomfortable emotions, they don't go away. They sit and fester, and then how they come out is typically in either destructive ways or ways that are not in alignment with how you want to live. I mean, for me, if how it comes out is, I eat foods that I know make me sick, but they're comforting at the time. And we all have our little ways of, comforting ourselves when we have these emotions. But when you push away the uncomfortable ones, they come out. So I start with, if you want to thrive, you have to feel your emotions. Don't let anybody tell you, just get over it, just be positive. Feel that sadness, that anger, whatever. Um, Understand that accepting being childless does not mean you don't want to have a child anymore, or that you're being disloyal to your desires or to the child you had dreamed of. Acceptance is just getting to a point where you are being able to state your reality. I'm childless. I don't want to be, but that's where I am. And everyone's path to that is different. So there's no right or wrong. Um, the other thing I highly recommend is getting your feelings out, not just feeling the pain, but getting them out. So that can be journaling, which is really helpful for so many people. I know oftentimes when you first start, it that it can bring up the pain more, but you have to sit with that pain and it will go away. It will ease up. But also, creative projects, some people like to um, do pottery, others draw. I've seen like incredible drawings,
Mm,
paintings, expressing the emotions and the pain that come with this unwanted childlessness. So get your feelings out. Find a purpose in life. So that's not a grand, you don't have to find some grand scheme like, I'm going to, cure uh, world hunger. I'm going to fix world hunger. No, find a purpose, something that brings you joy. Maybe it's creating a garden. Maybe it's like a daily, you've made a pact with yourself that you're going to go on a daily walk. For me, my purpose in life is I adopt dogs that are considered difficult to adopt and rehabilitate them. That's become my purpose in life. So find something that brings you joy. And it does take time for some people to figure that out. Um, find support and help. And so that can be with a chaplain, with a religious figure for you. That can be with a therapist or a coach. I do highly recommend that if you're going to find a therapist or coach, that you find someone who they don't necessarily have to be childless themselves, but they have to have had some education on this. Um, because it is a unique pain, and it's kind of amazing the comments that are sometimes made that can be really triggering. Um, find a doctor like Dr. Tolu, who's wonderful and who wants to help with this. One of the common triggers for this pain are healthcare visits, because oftentimes is a way of getting to know someone. Would start with questions about, do you have children? Or, and that can be really triggering. It's not just in healthcare visits. And it's a whole other topic of controversy about whether or not you even ask that question, but it is asked. That has become the accepted norm. So, and it sometimes turns into difficult visits because doctors, and not just doctors, but everyone in the healthcare system will ask these questions as a way to like get to know you on a personal level, but it can be really triggering. So it's really important to find a healthcare provider, doctor, nurse practitioner, whoever, who you can speak to about this, who's going to understand this is very painful, and who will offer you help. So find support and help. There are support groups out there. Whether it's on social media or, in-person support groups. I do have a private Facebook group that is, I'm very careful about who is allowed in, because I really want it to be a safe space where women can speak freely and get support.
Wow, you shared a lot of powerful thoughts, and tips, and much more than thoughts. And one thing I wanted to um, highlight, is the finding support and help appropriate for your unique pain point.
Yeah.
And so that might take more work, more questioning. You said honor your emotions, admit that they are,
Yeah.
and then get them out. Find creative ways to push through journaling, creative projects. And then three, you said find a purpose that brings you joy. Sometimes I feel like, maybe with the, that the joy of maybe having a child to pour into is taken away. And so finding some something else that brings you joy and helps you feel fulfilled is very important. And one thing you did say it could take time. So I think we also need to be gracious with ourselves and patient with ourselves. Sometimes we're not figuring it out right away. In the course of life, that can be found out, and in the right circle of people, that can be explored or extracted to.
Yeah.
But I had one question for you for one of the comments you made about finding a good doctor. So one of the things that, and I know it's part of the intake that's done when you see a patient, they ask if you have children. One of the things I found that resonated a lot with my clients is if I looked at that before and asked, tell me who are your support systems. Not to ask the same question again, because then it's like, okay, did you not read the chart? Like, why are we like this? Like, why are we having this conversation? Why are you asking me again? Because I just told your medical assistant and you could just look at the chart and see, you know, and know. So are there tips? Are there tips for doctors? Because I know some doctors will watch this.
Yes.
Yeah. What would you say?
So my first tip is, if fertility status, reproductive status is not pertinent. So, and I'll give you an example, but if it's not pertinent, don't ask about it. So one example is someone who went to the dermatologist. There were no meds involved. There were like where they had to worry, is this the medication that's safe if she becomes pregnant? There was no purpose, no indication for talking about reproductive status. And at the end of the visit, the dermatologist said, excuse me, I had COVID 3 weeks ago and I still have the cough. The dermatologist said to her, like, you better get on this, and like literally did one of these things, like, Tabby, you better get on it. She said, I better get on what? You better get on it. You better get pregnant. You're getting older. And she had actually just recently been through divorce, and they had been through unsuccessful fertility treatments. Like, there was no purpose to bringing that up. It was not needed. So the first is, if reproductive status is not pertinent to the visit, don't comment on it. Don't ask about it. If it is, and I tell clients all the time, there are times where it is, we need to know about it, because that can be a reflection of your overall health. Please be sensitive about it. Don't make judgments. Like, another comment that was made to someone was, I would have done anything. I would have gone to the ends of the earth to get pregnant. Well, this woman actually did. She and her husband had flown across the country to different specialists. She was postmenopausal at this point. And, this person never asked. She saw on her intake, no children, never asked about it. Tell me about this. Is this something you want to talk about? She just assumed that this woman didn't try, and maybe, some women don't, and that's okay too. But she just was like, I did go to the ends of it. We flew all over the country trying to different specialists. So don't ask judgmental thing, or don't make judgmental comments. And really, how you address it with, tell me about your support system, that is so much more helpful than, or simply asking, is this something you want to talk about? So that's, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for highlighting that. So I have people who are watching who have loved ones too, who may be childless, and realize that the goal is not to cause pain. Is sometimes curiosity, or you forget, you say something before you think about it. You're not in their shoes, and they're wondering, well, how can I support my friend or my family member who's in this status without feeling sorry, or like making them feel bad with
Yeah.
Yeah.
So first of all, know the person. Like, some women would be better off if you address it in a text than in person. But I would start with, how can I help you with this? What can I do to help you with this? And please tell me specifically, because sometimes it's, you know what, I want to go to lunch with you and talk about anything but your children. I love your children. I'm happy for you, but I just need this hour and a half, whatever it is, to not talk about children. Or sometimes it is, I want to spend time with your kids, like that will make me feel better. So really say to them, what can I do for you? How can I help you through it? And sometimes it's, please understand, I just need some space. I just need to, like, not talk to you for however long. Or it's, can we just go to lunch and just be there for me? So really starting with asking, how can I be there for you? And be understanding that sometimes being there for someone is giving them space and leaving them alone. Don't offer advice. If they ask you for it, it's very common for people to be like, I have this friend who she went to this doctor and they had IVF, or I did this and it worked for us. Everything doesn't work for everyone else. There are financial, there are emotional and physical challenges that come with all of these treatments. And so what's right for one person may not be right for another. So please don't give advice and don't give platitude. Like I've heard so often, oh, you're lucky. Children are expensive. And this is coming from people who would never, ever say, yeah, if I could have the money back, I'd give up my kids. Don't say things like that, because that doesn't help. I know you think it's helpful, you're trying to be helpful, but it's really painful. And support loved ones with others. When you hear someone else making inappropriate comments, asking personal, intrusive questions, stand up for them and say, you know what, this isn't okay, or change the subject. I mean, your family, friends, your community. For some people, it's like if you intervene and say, this isn't okay to say, they're gonna take it well. But on the other hand, if you just kindly change the subject, they'll change the subject and forget about it. So kind of know your audience, but really stand up for your loved one. And just understand, both for your loved one and for anyone going through this childlessness, we talk about healing. Healing doesn't mean the pain goes away. There are ups and downs. There are times when you think, I'm feeling phenomenal, and then something happens, a trigger happens, and you feel awful, and you start to wonder, what's wrong with me? There's nothing wrong with you. That pain isn't going to go away. The goal is to get to a point where that pain is kind of like this in your life instead of overwhelming everything. And so please be understanding of yourself if you're going through this. And if you're dealing with loved ones, understand that there's ups and downs, left and right, backwards and forwards, and it's all normal. And just be patient and understanding.
Wow. A lot has been said here. And sometimes we have to help others, teach others how to help us.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And, I also see being more sensitive to your audience, getting to know your family members that may be going through this and asking for their own input.
Yes.
And you said something, you said sometimes being there for someone is giving them their space. That's big. Wow, this has been very, very powerful. Thank you for those who have been watching. Please share this with those who could find this useful. But Doc, I have people who are watching like, wow, I would like to work with someone like this. I would like to suggest you to someone I know. I've gotten to learn so much. I want you to come speak on my platform. Doc, where can people find you?
Sure. So my coaching practice is Path Onward. So pathonward.com. I am on, and if you want, we can put links in the comments at some point. I'm on Facebook. It's also the page is Path Onward. I have a private Facebook group, When Being Childless Isn't by Choice. And I'm also on Instagram. I also have a mini course, because as we talked about, healthcare visits can be triggering. And so I do have a mini course that I can give you the link for. It's a free course. It's for women planning healthcare visits, and how you can help yourself to avoid those triggers and avoid that really deep pain that can come up. And it's a way of helping teach people in the healthcare system, like, why this is so important to really recognize this pain. I'm not saying that you need to go to visits and teach your doctors, your nurse practitioners, but this is a way of you taking ownership and advocating for yourself so that they can learn from that.
All right, awesome. I will share the information. If you send me the link to that free program, are they going to find it on the website as well?
It's not working on the website right now, unfortunately, so I'll send you the link. We're
Okay,
having,
I'll share it.
technical issues.
All right, no worries. Thank you so much, Dr. Miller. I really, really appreciate you for doing this and for championing this cause. Thank you so, so much.
And thank you. I really appreciate that you are putting a focus on this. So thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure. And as a woman of faith, I'm praying for joy and peace and strength, and that life is even much more fulfilling in every shape, size, and form.
Yes.
Amen. All right.
Amen.
All right. So much. So this is power packed. Yeah. This is beautiful. Thank you, Doc. I really appreciate you. So thank you for watching. I'm sorry I can't tell those who watch, but I appreciate you for watching. Please share, because caring is sharing. You simply need to just forward this video to your friends, to family members. The information to connect with Dr. Miller is also there as well, so you can join. And if you or anyone you know is looking for an awesome, a thorough, and a passionate family physician who will have conversations to help improve your quality and quantity of life, I am she. Thanks again, Doc, and have a good one, everyone.